British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Good morning. My name is Vivek Nakra and here are your news updates to 10 o'clock. Advance voting is underway for the BC election. Our reporter Keenan Trigascus has found out how advance voting numbers have changed over the years.
With Election Day on Saturday, BC residents have already begun to hit the polls in droves. With the first day of voting being Thursday, over 170,000 people voted. Andrew Watson, the communications director for Elections BC, suggests two reasons for these high numbers.
I think the convenience of advance voting is a really positive thing for voters, and increasingly voters are taking advantage of that. Another pattern that we've noticed is that the first day of the advance voting period does tend to be one of the highest volume days we see.
He also says advance voting numbers have risen from 10% in 2001 to 35% in 2020. Keenan Trigascus, BCIT's The Crow.
Now we are joined by our producer Gina Tang for our daily headlines.
Minister Stephen Gullenbolt has announced the creation of a federal water agency. Gullenbolt is a prominent advocate in the fight against the climate crisis. Our reporters will investigate the efforts to enhance community support. Today we will cover the unveiling of the induction class of 2025, the BC Sports Hall of Fame, aiming to uncover what sets this year apart, and looking forward to the announcement of the inductees' names. We will also be noting how they will react. Additionally, we will highlight how women are at risk of violence, abuse, or housing instability can gain the opportunity to showcase their work at an international recognized event, Vancouver Fashion Week. Back to you, Vivek.
Leaders of BC NDP and BC Conservatives hold campaign events on the last day of advanced voting before BC provincial election on Saturday. David Eby has an announcement scheduled in Nanaimo this morning before going to other campaign events across the island. John Rustad will also be in Nanaimo for a campaign rally at a hotel this evening. First Nation chiefs are gathering in Calgary as they prepare to vote on a landmark $4 billion child welfare reform agreement with Ottawa. The deal was struck in July between Canada, Chiefs on Ontario, and the Assembly of First Nations. It came after a nearly two-decade legal fight over Canada's underfunding of on-reserve child welfare services. Chiefs in Ontario voted in favor of the agreement last week, but the National Chiefs Group is trying to renegotiate or strike down the deal. The Blind Hockey League will be hosting the Carnegie Cup from December 20th to 22nd. It is a tournament designed for hockey players suffering from different stages of vision loss. Our reporter Ethan Vandop has more on what the tournament means for players.
The three-day tournament will provide opportunities for players with vision loss to showcase their hockey skills. The Blind Hockey League hopes the event will improve inclusiveness in the sport and inspire blind hockey players to continue chasing their dreams, saying in a quote on their website, "This event will showcase the skill level of our elite athletes and inspire fans to show that hockey truly is for everyone." Mark DeMontis, founder of the Canadian Blind Hockey Association, says the tournament is a big step for blind hockey.
It's going to be taking place during the exhibition round of the World Juniors. And so there will be a lot of exposure happening at that time for blind hockey, which is really important.
The Carnegie Cup is named in honor of Herb Carnegie, one of the first black hockey players who lost his sight from glaucoma. Carnegie served as an inspiration for DeMontis. Ethan Vandop, BCIT's The Crow.
Air India passengers got a lift from RCAF after bomb scare forces landing in Nunavut. More than 200 air passengers are on the ground in Chicago after their flight was diverted to Nunavut due to a bomb threat. The airline thanked the Royal Canadian Air Force via social media for helping the ferry and directing it to the final destination. The airline's update also thanked the Canadian authorities and those at the Akulliit International Airport for their support and assistance. A worker at a Crimea wildlife park in Russia died after being attacked by lions. Russian investigation committee says the death occurred when the worker went into a cage at the Tiger Park to clean it. That was your news updates to 10 o'clock. My name is Vivek Nakra and thanks for listening to BCIT's The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Good morning, sports fans. I'm Filip Kovacevic with your sports headlines for 10:10. The Canucks fall flat in their hopes of obtaining their first victory of the season against Tampa Bay Lightning last night. The Canucks head coach Rick Touchette said, "We weren't ready to play the first period." The ending score came to 1-3 in favor of Tampa, landing the Canucks with their third straight loss of the season. Hockey fans will be having their choice of 4 NHL games tonight, including the Toronto Maple Leafs welcoming the Los Angeles Kings. Toronto is coming off a 4-2 win over Pittsburgh. And elsewhere, the Penguins face the Buffalo Sabres, Utah takes on the Anaheim Ducks, and the Colorado Avalanche, who have yet to get a victory, hit the ice against the Boston Bruins. Toronto Scepters forward Natalie Spooner is looking to get her Blades back on the ice for a November 30th return, the opening day of the Professional Women's Hockey League season. Last season's PWHL MVP is recovering from an ACL surgery after a knee injury in the playoffs. The 33-year-old Spooner has started skating but will need to pass medical tests before being cleared to play. Emotions ran high in Columbus on Tuesday night as the Blue Jackets paid tribute to their star and his late brother Matthew at their home opener game facing the Florida Panthers. Some of the highlights were a banner raised to the rafters in Gaudreau's memory, and as fans cheered, both teams stick-tapped the ice in the traditional hockey salute while his family looked on, their arms intertwined. The BC Lions are bringing back Vernon Adams Jr. as quarterback, replacing Nathan Rourke. After hurting his knee in Week 9 of the season, Rourke took over for Adams as quarterback. Now ahead of the game at BC Place this Saturday, Vernon's return. The NFL's running game is having a bit of an early improvement this season, thanks in part to the dynamic duo in Baltimore. NFL teams are rushing at the highest rate through the past month and a half since 2008. With teams averaging around a record high of 4.5 yards per carry and the most yards rushing per game at this point in the season in 40 years. The Ravens are playing a big part in this thanks to the success of partnering maybe the NFL's best rushing quarterback, Lamar Jackson, with the most prolific running back of his generation, Derrick Henry. Aaron Judge hit a 2-run drive in Monument Park for his first home run of the postseason, and the New York Yankees took down the Cleveland Guardians 6-3, getting them a 2-0 lead in the American League Championship Series. Guardian manager Stephen Vogt says his team does not need to change anything to turn around this series. BCIT received audio from the Associated Press.
Keep doing what we're doing. We had traffic all night tonight. We do what we do. We get on base. We make things happen. We just didn't get a big hit with runners in scoring position tonight. You know, we're one swing of the bat away from taking the lead in that game. We're one swing of the bat for being right back in it. That's who we are. We don't quit. We just need to keep being us.
Thomas Tuchel has been hired as England head coach in preparation for the 2026 World Cup and will take on the challenge of ending the national team's decades-long wait for a trophy. The German previously managed Paris Saint-Germain, Chelsea, and Bayern Munich. He will take his post in January. Tuchel won major trophies in Germany, France, and England. He is England's third foreign coach after the departed Sven-Göran Eriksson and Fabio Capello. He steps into the shoes of one of England's most successful coaches, Gareth Southgate. Southgate left his position in July after 8 years, following their defeat to Spain in the final of Euro 2024. The first test match between India and New Zealand is delayed due to rain. It's not a happy day by any means for the cricket fans and the players themselves. One day of gameplay is gone. That means that they lost 3 sessions now, but 12 sessions of play still remain to be used. Those were your sports headlines for 10:10. I'm Filip Kovacevic with BCIT's The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane.